Now, the beauty of TypeScript is that we'll actually be working with all of the same types that we're already familiar with from our basic JavaScript primitives. So, your string, your number, your booleans, objects, that sort of thing. There are some additional types, and we'll cover those in an upcoming video. So, let's actually just start by defining a variable here. So let first name equal Braedon. Defining variables isn't really all that much different. If I actually go ahead and hover over it though, you can see that we get a type definition here. So first name is of type string. If we wanted to be explicit with our types, I could go ahead and add the colon and string here. And in terms of the actual variable itself, being explicit in this regard, it makes no difference here. TypeScript is smart enough to infer many of the types that we're using, and if it can infer it, it's going to let us know and force us to add a type there. So let's add a couple more variables here. So we'll do let age equals 26, hover over that, type number, then let's do another one, let loves ice cream equals definitely true. Now, another interesting thing that we can take a look at here is if I actually try and reassign first name. So first name equals Doug. No problems there, right? We're just reassigning a variable. It's still of type string. However, if I now try and first name equals 34, we can see that now we're starting to get some type errors here. So type number is not assignable to type string. And this is an important thing I want to continue to remind you to do is if you see an error, just read the error and really think about what it's saying. This one is fairly trivial. We're assigning to a number when we set its type string. And I can actually go ahead and even remove the type definition here. So in this case here, TypeScript is always going to assume that the value should remain the type of the first value that we assign to it. So because first name had a string assigned to it initially, it's not going to allow us to change it to a number. We can get rid of that. So another interesting thing here when it comes to defining variables, TypeScript can tell the difference between when we use let and when we use const. So if we just isolate this first name here again and we hover over it, right, we see its type string. If I actually go ahead and change that to a const, we can see it's not type string anymore. It's the literal string Braedon. Now let's think for a second why that might be. With a let, we can reassign it. So TypeScript can only ever guarantee that it's going to be a string. However, with a constant, we can't reassign it. So TypeScript can be guaranteed that this isn't going to be just a string. It's going to be the explicit value Braedon in this case. The same is true for all of these other ones here. Const age is now no longer a number. It's now the literal value 26. For Booleans, it'll be the same. So we've got type Boolean here. We can go ahead and change that to const, and that's no longer going to be type Boolean. It's going to be explicitly true. Now, like I said, TypeScript can infer most of these values here. When defining variables, it's not super important to include an explicit value. However, it does become slightly more useful when you're dealing with more complex things. If you're defining an array, for example, or maybe you're defining an object of some sort. We'll take a look at that in the next video. But for now, these are the three basic types that you'll be working with. And we'll cover some of the new types in the following video.